Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world. The AM News on Global TV, live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has reassured that his administration will continue to put in place policies aimed in industrializing Nigeria. A statement by the special advisor to the president of media and publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, says Tinubu disclosed this when he received a delegation of the African Association of Automotive Manufacturers and the Nigerian Automotive Manufacturers Association. The president, represented by his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, met the members led by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anete, in Abuja. President Tinubu urged the association to look into producing vehicles that would be affordable to all categories of Nigerians, as government rolls out consumer credit for millions of citizens to purchase vehicles and other essential goods and services. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has commended Second Lieutenant Oluchukwu Uwokbo for emerging as the first Nigerian female cadet to graduate from the Royal Military Academy, Stanhurt, in the United Kingdom. The president's wife, who received Owowa, led by the Major General John Ochai, the Commandant, Nigerian Defense Academy, NDA, to the State House, described her achievement as outstanding and divine. She also commended the Nigerian Army for giving a female the chance to excel, encouraging the nation's youth to emulate Owowo's resilience and cautioned them to cease from being destructive, lousy, and problematic. The National Examination Council, NECO, says it has digitalized the recruitment process for examination supervisors and assistant supervisors for the Basic Education Certificate Examination and the Senior School Certificate Examination, SSCE, both internal and external. The digitization seeks to check sharp practices in the recruitment process as well as to enhance efficiency and effective service delivery. The digitization process, which involves migration from the manual recruitment of supervisors and assistant supervisors to online system, would ensure that supervisors' nomination forms, appointment letters, and supervisors' e-photo albums are generated online. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Adejoke Orolokpe Adefulire, has called for considerable attention to the welfare and development of senior citizens across the country. He made this appeal during a strategic partnership meeting with a delegation from the National Senior Citizens Center led by the Director General, NM Omokaro. Orokpe Adefulire highlighted the importance of integrating the National Senior Citizens Policy at the sub-national level to ensure more effective implementation and support for elderly citizens. The call for greater attention to senior citizens comes amid growing concerns over issues such as access to healthcare, social inclusion, and economic support for elderly, which have been exacerbated by various socioeconomic factors. Now, in order to achieve the zero malaria target in Nigeria, the federal government has emphasized the need to move from idealism to pragmatism. The Coordination Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Ali Pate, stated this at the Ministerial Roundtable meeting on rethinking malaria elimination in Nigeria held in Abuja. The meeting was aimed at providing stakeholders the opportunity to assess the current malaria situation in Nigeria, evaluate the effectiveness of the existing tools in addressing the malaria scourge, and rethink the approach, factors facilitating or mitigating the process towards elimination of malaria in Nigeria. In the fight against cross-border banditry, the Nigerian Armed Forces have apprehended a notorious Nigerian bandit kingpin as Kachala Maidaji near the border town of Ilela, Niger. According to Zagozala Makama, a security analyst and counterinsurgency expert, Kachala Maidaji has left a trail of terror and devastation across the northeastern Nigeria over the past decade. Kachala Maidaji was captured by Nigerian forces as he attempted to rustle livestock across the Nigeria-Niger border. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up by the Kano state government to investigate causes of political violence and missing persons from 2015 to 2023 has solicited the assistance of the media in achieving its mandate. Chairman of the panel, Zuwaira Yusuf, made the appeal while delivering her speech at the inaugural sitting of the commission in Kano. Justice Yusuf told journalists to report the activities of the Commission with utmost professionalism by being fair and factual on its proceedings. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria FAN says it has concluded plans with the Office of the National Security Advisor to reduce the number of security checkpoints at the country's airport. This follows complaints by travelers who have bemoaned the delays caused by multiple physical security checks. The managing director of FAN, Olubumi Kuku, said the agency said the office of the NSA have agreed to carry out short and long-term measures to address the issue. Part of the measures will include the creation of a joint coordination room where all the agencies can perform the necessary checks by monitoring CCTV cameras. Adamawa state government has closed down public and private schools following the outbreak of measles in the state. Contained in a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Capital Development, Aisha Umar Yola, Ms. Umar said the closure was to mitigate the spread of disease and to enable the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency to vaccinate the vulnerable age. The Ministry announced Monday, May 13, 2024, as a new resumption date for the school. To support the expansion of Nigeria's pharmaceutical sector, the federal government has reaffirmed its intention to implement the 5+5 regulatory scheme, which grants a last 5-year renewal to a company that imports medications that the country's pharmaceutical industry is capable of producing. During the 5-year renewal period, the importer must migrate to local manufacturing or partner with local manufacturers. This is an outcome of a study that was done in 2019 that revealed the top 5 drugs that are imported are also the top 5 drugs that are manufactured in Nigeria. The federal government has disclosed that it will flush out persons in public and private organizations working with fake certificates. Minister of Education Professor Tahir Mamman disclosed this while he received the report of an internal ministerial investigative committee on degree certificate mailing from the chairman of the committee, Professor Jabrila Amin Mamoon, who expressed sadness over that was uncovered during the investigation, said the ministry would work with relevant agencies to sanitize the education sector, rid it of any tendencies. While noting that the ministry is determined to take steps to sanitize the system, he vowed to take decisive actions to ensure standards are enshrined in the system. Niger Delta ex-agitators for good governance has countered the appointment of the administrator, Presidential Amnesty Program, Dennis Atuari, at a World Press briefing in Abuja. The group said the announcement was not in favor of the Ijaw Nation and
the appointment of Administrator Presidential Amnesty Program Dennis Atuari has created a lot of controversy among various groups in the Niger Delta region. The group says the administrator appointment is detrimental to the Ijaw Nation as well as the Niger Delta region.
His appointment is not in the interest of the entire Ijaw Nation and Niger Delta at large due to the following reasons. Number one, his appointment was influenced by an avaricious interest who subverted the struggle as his personal entity at the detriment of the entire Ijaw Nation and Niger Delta at large. Two, the Ijaw Nation is currently enslaved as a result of one personal desperate attempt to seize everything for himself.
The group therefore appealed to the federal government to intervene and ensure that one man's political intrigues does not dominate the entire Niger Delta region. Samuel Odi reporting for Global Television.
You're welcome back from that report. Thank you, Odi, for that report. Moving on in the news. Let's quickly go on a quick break. The news continues shortly. If you're just watching, you're welcome back. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. Over now to our foreign scene. Britain's ruling Conservatives braced for further losses in local elections, their worst result in recent memory and key tests before general election to be held by January. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's party lost nearly 500 councillors and control of 12 councils as well as parliamentary seats after voting Thursday across a swathe of England saw the Labour opposition made huge gains. The bilingual Tony Lenders faced more likely defeats from results of crunch mayoral races in London. Liverpool and Manchester announced Saturday, but is hoping to retain the West Midlands. Israel's military has called for the evacuation of Palestinians from eastern Rafah ahead of grand invasion of the city. This is as Gaza aid officials said Israelis jet struck to areas where the warning had been issued. The evacuation call followed intensified disagreement between Israel and Hamas over the Islamist group demand to end the 7-month war during weekend talks in Cairo. Consultations between two other mediators, the United States and Qatar, were expected on Monday in Doha, but state-linked media in Egypt and negotiations has stalled after a rocket struck killed 4 Israeli soldiers on Sunday. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to send ground troops in against Hamas fighters in Rafah regardless of any truce and despite concerns from the United States, other countries and aid groups. Truce talks were expected to resume in Egypt, aimed at halting months of war in Gaza between Hamas militants and Israel that have triggered widening protests around the world. Mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and United States have been waiting for the Palestinian Islamic movement to respond to the proposal that, according to details released by Britain, which halt fighting for 40 days and exchange hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Months of negotiations stalled in part as Hamas demand for a lasting ceasefire, and Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu repeated vows to crush the group's remaining fighters in Rafah along the Egyptian border in Gaza's far south. In business, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, says the trade relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom have reached £7 billion. Speaking in Abuja, Montgomery announced that the two nations have signed a new agreement to enhance trade and investment partnership. The agreement aims to boost cooperation in key sectors such as agriculture, creative industries, legal services, financial services, and education. Pension fund assets have witnessed a decline in March this year due to exchange rate pressures. The net assets value of the fund dropped to 19.669 trillion naira from 19.759 trillion naira recorded in the previous net asset value, falling by 90 billion naira. This was shown in the National Pension Commission PenCon unaudited report on pension funds industry portfolio for the period ended 31st March, released on April 25th. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says the international oil companies have postponed 26 oil blocks to be diverted to indigenous companies with 8.211 million barrels of oil reserves. The Commission's chief executive, Benga Komolafe, said this at an industry dialogue in IOC's divestment of oil and gas assets in Abuja. The NUPRC said it had also engaged 2 leading global oil and gas commissioning consultants to carry out due diligence on the proposed 26 oil blocks to be diverted. The federal government says it will stop granting licenses to gas companies with no capacity to build pipelines for gas distribution. This, the government said, became necessary to discourage the transportation of compressed natural gas through the roads. The Minister of State for Petroleum Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, made this disclosure when he was in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Ekpo had visited Abeokuta for an on-the-spot assessment of Saturday's CNG's explosion at his Ita, Osun. Moving on now on the news, moving on over now to business as we join Kike Okere. Stay tuned.
And welcome to Business Report on Prime News. Data from the National Pension Commission have revealed that Nigerian pension fund assets dropped marginally to 19.669 trillion naira for the period ended 31st of March 2024. This represents a marginal decrease of about 0.45% when compared with 19.759 trillion naira reported as net asset value in February 2024. This was contained in the Commission's monthly report for March 2024 released by PENCOM. The data further reveals that investment in FGN security continues to dominate portfolio allocation with about 12.200 trillion naira, that is 62.03% of total net asset value. Pension fund also allocated 2.058 trillion naira to corporate debt securities and 1.779 trillion naira to money market instruments. Investment in ordinary shares of local companies rose by 8.72% to 2.082 trillion naira from 1.915 trillion naira in February. Fund 2, which is the default RSA fund under the multi-fund structure, maintained the largest share of the active RSA fund allocation with 8.331 trillion naira, that is 42.35% of the total fund value. Fund 3 also rose by 1.19% from 5.112 trillion naira to 5.173 trillion naira, maintaining its second position for fund allocation. Meanwhile, RSA membership for March 2024 rose by 0.22% to 10,280,956 from 10,258,611 members in February 2024. The federal government has mandated system operators in the Nigerian power industry to supply not more than 6% of total available grid generation per hour to international customers or off-takers. In a new order by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) to electricity generation companies, the regulators stated that the priority system of prioritizing international customers and limiting distribution companies' off-take during times of imbalance in the grid is both inefficient and inequitable. According to the new order, the aggregate capacity to be allocated by electricity generation companies to international off-takers in the next 6 months shall not be more than 10% of the GENCO generation capacity. Furthermore, the new order mandated the system operators and the transmission companies of Nigeria (TCN) to install IoT meters at all off-take and delivery points of eligible customers' bilateral supplies, cross-border trades, and outgoing 33 kV feeders of the DISCOs to provide real-time data on supply to off-takers. The new order also mandates the system operator to publish hourly reading of adherence to grid instruction to check violations of off-take contracts and also publish the previous day hourly log reading the market participants. Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association of Nigeria, the umbrella body of players in the cryptocurrency industry, has blamed the rise of peer-to-peer crypto trading in the country on the lack of regulation amid heightened concern that the government may ban P2P anytime soon. The president of the CBAN, Obinan Uwuno, stated this on X Space to discuss the state of the Web3 in Nigeria. The space was held against the backdrop of the recent clampdown on crypto trading by government. According to Uwuno, if the government had regulated the industry, many Nigerians would have been trading through regulated exchange and not through P2P. While the government has forbidden banks and fintech from processing any crypto-related transaction, the CBAN president expressed concern that crypto trading may soon be criminalized if nothing is done to make the government understand the business. While insisting that the industry needs regulation, the CBAN president says all stakeholders must now speak out to clear the names of the allegation of crypto being used to manipulate Nigerian currency. The CBAN president says the stakeholders must now come together to change the narrative that they are sabotaging the economy. According to him, the image of the crypto industry being portrayed by the government is not what it is. The United States government, through its regulatory agency, have clamped down on top cryptocurrency projects within the space of 2 years as it struggles to understand the complex world of decentralized finance and protect its citizens from its volatile nature. According to Crypto Potato, these clampdowns are often driven by efforts by the U.S. regulatory agency to demand compliance from crypto firms for their products and services. The list of crypto entities which were clamped down on by U.S. regulatory agency remains extensive, but some cases stood out from the rest, like lawsuits against decentralized protocols like Uniswap, crypto mixing platform like Tomato Cash, and big firms like Binance and Coinbase. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kike, for that report. Over now in sports, the Universal Boxing Organization has confirmed the prestigious title of Boxer of the Month for April 2024 upon Nigerian boxing sensation Rashid Ido, following his remarkable victory in the highly controversial bout in Accra, Ghana. In an official statement addressed to the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, General Secretary Remi Abodiri, UBO Vice President David Manzna lauded Idobu's exceptional performance against his Ghanaian opponent Besti Samir, ultimately resulting in a second-round knockout. Two more Nigerian relay teams, the men's and the women's 4x100-meter squads, have secured automatic qualification for the Paris Olympics after making the best use of their second chances at the just concluded World Relays in Nassau, Bahamas. The women's 4x100-meter team, led by Nigeria's 200-meter indoor and outdoor record holder Favour Ofili, secured their passage to Paris first. The quartet of Justina Ekpogbeyon, Ofili Olayinka Olajide, and Timmy God Bless displayed impressive teamwork, storming to victory in a team of 42.71, booking their spots in the 2024 Olympics. Ofili blazed through the second leg, putting Nigeria in a strong position, with reigning National Sports Festive double sprint champion Tima God Bless anchoring the team home in first place ahead of Switzerland, who claimed the second automotive ticket in the third qualifying heat. Officials have announced that referee Gerard Gillett will wear a camera during Premier League match between Crystal Palace and Manchester United. The Premier League stress footage from the camera will not be broadcast live, but rather used as a part of the program to be shown later in the year that aim to offer further insight and education into demands of officiating in the England football top flight. Gillett will wear a head-mounted device that will form part of the standard referee communication system for major fixtures. And now that's it as we end the AM News on Global Television. And let's not forget, don't forget that that's it on the news, and it's from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Can you follow us across all social media platforms using a Global TV and other handles now showing on your screen? I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. See you again. Good morning.